I've got Andre the Deco Almeida here, and man, welcome back to BJJ Weekly. It's been many years coming. I think we've been pretty much silent for the last 3 or 4 years, and we're bringing back the newsletter strong, and it's going to be amazing content delivered free every Monday.
Man, Peach, I'm so happy to be back here with BJJ Weekly, and honestly, even happier to see, in my opinion, one of the best websites about BJJ back in the day,
Oh,
coming
absolutely.
back, with these new features, how these new innovations that I can't wait until people see it, what you're doing. I can't wait. And thank you very much for, being part of these again. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
So you're going to be one of our featured experts in the newsletter for months to come, years to come, hopefully. And we've got an incredible new studio set up right here on the other side of the wall, where we're doing all the filming. Man, it's going to be an amazing resource for new grapplers, intermediate grapplers, advanced grapplers. If you're grappling, this is the resource. So before we get into this first technique, and the inaugural launch of the BJJ Weekly reboot, tell me what we're working on here for this first technique.
We're gonna start, Pete, with some of the passes that I've been using for De La Riva guard, and it's a couple details. And I'll be honest, what I think people gonna love it again about the new BJJ Weekly. It's how you were able to capture all the details on the technique that I haven't seen anywhere yet. I can't wait. And so we're gonna work the De La Riva pass. But what I wanna really stress about is everyone pay attention those details that it's gonna be the most important part. The things that the new techniques are the new BJJ Weekly. It's very focusing on the details of each technique, and I love that.
Well, give me a cheers before we get into it.
Nice.
Good.
Let's do it.
Here we go. So, working on the pass. Tell me about what's happening here.
So number one, I like to break the grip when he's grabbing my collar, and I have a very particular way that I like to break the grip on my collar. So that gives me some freedom on my head movement, on my chest movement, and the way that I break the grip, it's turning my palm inside of his sleeve and snapping that grip out.
So you're breaking the grip to make sure your posture is not broken, and you can continue with your technique.
Yes, and it's make sure he cannot pull me forward, because the side that I'm going in this pass, it's really easy for my opponent to pull my head down and get inside with the inverted De La Riva guard, with the other hook going inside of my legs. So getting my head free and breaking that grip, I make sure, like when I break the grip, I make sure that he cannot break my balance as I gonna step. If you notice here, my foot comes out of the floor really quick for a quick split second, and that's when it becomes dangerous.
Walk us through it here.
So now what I do is I make sure as soon as that I break and I snap the De La Riva hook out, I cross my knee right away, and as soon as that I do that, I make sure I let his pants go and I go after his arm. On the detail that I like to do a lot, it's my elbow. I make sure I live right on his sternum, around his rib cage.
Sure.
So I make sure I keep his back on the floor. You know what the important part too, I don't know if you noticed that I keep rocking like back and forth, but I call to my students, sit on a chair. So every time somebody put on the De La Riva hook on me and I'm on my feet, I like to almost bend my legs on a 90-degree angle. So if you're thinking about you pretty much sitting on a chair. So I keep my hip and my base and my weight going towards the floor and not towards my opponent. This way give me some pressure on his legs, which make it easier to break that hook.
Man, this is really like a private lesson.
It seems like. Yeah. I'm feeling me teaching a private, actually. That's what it seems. That's what it looks like to me.
How important is that grip on the pant leg before you do that inside knee cut?
Very important, because if he's going to try to sit up to go to my back, he needs that leg going towards the floor. So what I do, I make sure I keep that grip really closer, like I control right at the bottom of his pants. So with my knee over his knee, my leg over his knee, and my grip on his pants makes very hard for my opponent to sit up and run through my back. Right. So once I secure that position, I make the exchange for his arm.
And of course, under his head for that deep cross face.
Always. Nice and gentle.
Any other details you want to tell our listeners and viewers about here?
About this technique, it's the snap on the leg. The snap is very simple, and I combine two things together. Once I snap my leg back, so pretty much what I do is I sit on the chair, bending my leg forward so he gets more comfortable with the De La Riva hook, so goes a little deeper, which I like it because make the break a little easier. Okay. So when I snap, pretty much how the snap is, I make sure the leg that he has the hook, it's gonna be fully hyper extended. This way the hook comes out itself.
You're straightening the joint so his hook.
Exactly.
It's a little painful for him to hold on to.
Very.
He's going to think about it.
He's going to think about it. He's going to think about it.
And then the long step over the leg.
The long step over. So I get my other foot out of the floor to step the long way out. Yeah. And then pass.
Nice. Any details for new grapplers that you want to say about this technique? Or
yeah, one detail is, before you start doing this technique, I would have focused a lot on the snap. Make sure you stretch your leg. You need to really hyperextend your knee joint to make that grip break, to make that hook comes off. If you look at the details, I really straight my leg. My leg gets very straight, almost like bouncing, most bumping my leg back.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. It's an incredible first technique for the relaunch of BJJ Weekly. We're going to be seeing a lot more of you in future issues.
I appreciate it.
Thank you
much. So. Thank you very much, Peter Roberts.
All right.
Awesome. What do you think?
I think it was good.